Imagine waking up in total darkness. The air is thick enough to swallow your breath. Every shadow hides something designed to kill you, and the silence is suffocating. In 1981, 22-year-old Yossi Ginsburg looked out over the concrete grid of Tel Aviv. He was looking for an exit from a predictable life, a way to reach the raw, untamed earth. He followed a rumor to the high-altitude cobblestones of La Paz, Bolivia. It was a story about an uncontacted tribe buried so deep in the rainforest that the modern world had never reached them. There, he joined 3 other travelers. They were led by a charismatic guide named Carl, who claimed he could take them into territory where no tourist had ever set foot. We often trade safety for the promise of ultimate discovery, ignoring the reality that these ecosystems have no obligation to let us out alive. The adventure collapsed within days. Relentless rains turned the ground into a rotting soup, and one team member's feet began to disintegrate from a spreading infection. The jungle was reclaiming them before they even reached their destination. Here, in the heart of the Bolivian Amazon, the expedition shattered. Carl's directions became erratic, paranoia set in, and the team made the decision to split into 2 pairs. Yossi and his partner, an American photographer named Kevin, attempted to build a bamboo raft. They hoped the river would carry them back to civilization faster than they could walk. But the scale of the water was deceptive. The currents accelerated as the river narrowed, and their raft smashed into a massive boulder. Kevin managed to throw himself toward the shore. Yossi lost his grip. He was swept directly over a waterfall, disappearing into the churning mud and white water. In a matter of seconds, he had gone from being a traveler to being a fragile organism, trapped in a landscape that was actively trying to consume him. He woke up half buried in the mud, to a silence so heavy it was physically painful. He was alone in an ocean of trees. He found his washed-up backpack snared on a branch downstream. Inside were a map, a Bible, and a few anti-hunger pills. He had nothing else. Starvation hit him almost immediately. When the pills ran out, he scavenged raw bird eggs from the dirt, forcing himself to swallow the half-formed chicks inside just to keep his heart beating. Then his own body became a host. He noticed a throbbing lump on his forehead that seemed to move. A flesh-eating parasite had burrowed deep under his skin. His hands shaking from hunger, Yossi used a rusted pocket knife to slice into his own face. He didn't stop until he pulled the live, writhing worm out of his skull. The human mind is designed to avoid self-harm at all costs. But when survival becomes the only goal, the brain overrides its own safety protocols. Pain is no longer a deterrent, it's just a symptom of being alive. While Yossi struggled, Kevin Gale reached a local village. He was alive, but he was facing an uphill battle with authorities who were already preparing to write Yossi off as a casualty. The local logic was simple. 2 weeks in the deep Amazon alone is a death sentence. To them, Kevin wasn't asking for a rescue mission, he was asking for a body recovery. Back in the forest, isolation was dismantling Yossi's mind. He began to hallucinate a young girl walking beside him. He talked to her, found food for her, and even gathered dry leaves to make her a bed at night. The breaking point came each morning when he woke up to find the bed empty. Realizing he had been talking to the air for hours was more damaging than the hunger. In a state of mental exhaustion, he wandered into deep quicksand. Within seconds, he was buried to his chest. He spent hours clawing at the mud, facing a slow, terrifyingly quiet death. He eventually dragged himself onto dry land, only to collapse directly into a nest of fire ants. Thousands of venomous bites covered his body, and the searing chemical heat forced his nervous system to reboot. He didn't pull away from the stings. He used the white-hot agony as a chemical shock, forcing his limbs to move and his heart to pump when he had no other source of energy left. By day 21, his body had begun to fail.
His muscles were gone, and his skin was stretched over a skeleton that could no longer support its own weight. He crawled to the riverbank and simply lay down in the dirt. He had nothing left to fight with. He closed his eyes and waited for the jungle to finish what it started. Miles away, Kevin was on the water. He was in a small boat, searching the banks on the final day he was allowed to look. Kevin scanned a patch of mud near the tree line and saw something that shouldn't be there. A pair of sunken, hollow eyes were looking back at him from the dirt. Kevin jumped from the boat and waded through the thick river mud. He reached down and pulled Yossi's skeletal, broken frame out of the muck. He was still breathing. This is Yossi Ginsburg today. He recovered against every physiological prediction, surviving the most hostile environment on Earth long after his body had given up. His internal grit kept him alive for 3 weeks, but it was Kevin Gale's refusal to accept a statistical death that actually saved him. Survival in these extremes depends on having one person in the world who simply will not let you disappear.